secret golf. It's what I'm looking for. It's why I get up every morning, call my good time of friends. It keeps me coming back for more. It's secret golf. We're headed down the road. We just loaded up the big show. Going looking for the heart and soul. Rolling till the wheels fall off. It's secret golf. Shh. It's a secret.
The day after the Masters. This is Secret Golf, and we are looking back at the past week in Augusta, Georgia. I'm Diane, or Knoxy. I was there with Elk last week and we had such a good time. I've got some great stories coming up for you. But the newest Masters champion is Patrick Reed. What a fantastic day of golf yesterday. Got pretty exciting. Anyway, we're going to talk about all of that. It's a weird day today though, because I don't know, the day after the Masters, you're kind of on a bit of a come down. It's a little bit anticlimactic today. Anyway, to talk about all things from the past week, I'm joined by, of course, Steve Elkington, and from Golf News Net, Ryan Ballingy. Hey, guys.
Good morning, Diane. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic.
Wonderful. Like you said, it's kind of the letdown, like going to Disney World. Like the trip's over, now you got to go back to real life.
I know, it does feel like that. So Elk and I were in Augusta all week. Ryan, I know you watched from the comfort of your home, so you would have seen a lot, obviously being out on the course, having no cell phones on the course. It's weird because you do feel a little bit disconnected from reality and from everything else that's going on. But Elk, first of all, summarise our week then and what you thought, because obviously we loved being at the Masters.
Yeah, I mean, I think I told you in a podcast this week, I think you asked me what my favorite Masters was, and I think I told you in 1995, my daughter was born a month before the Masters, and I remember having a little pink ribbon on my Masters button, and here I was, she just turned 23 years later, and I'm still excited to go to the Masters, and I always enjoy it. I thought the winner was great. I thought he showed exactly what a champion needs to show coming in yesterday, and it was a wonderful week. The course was perfect. The blossom or the blooms were right on time. So, in my opinion, from being there on the ground, sitting up around the umbrellas and listening to all the chatter and so on, I thought it was fantastic.
And as you say, Patrick Reed, a very worthy winner. Elk, I saw something that you replied to on Twitter today, and someone had written an article saying that, alluding to the fact that Patrick Reed is the most unpopular Masters winner of all time. And you were like, what? What do you think about comments along those lines today?
I don't understand right now. Ryan could lay a little bit more light on this, being on sort of in the news, if you will. I don't quite understand how the Masters champion has anything to do with the way he played yesterday, anything to do with his past or what his family is doing off to the side. I really don't quite understand that right now. He was the hero for the Ryder Cup. Every person in this country was just standing on their feet applauding him when he won in Minnesota. And Ryan, help me out. I don't see the hate across the board right now.
I'm a little confused myself. I mean, Patrick Reed's complicated, and I think that in one sense that makes him interesting. I mean, it's different than a Jordan Spieth who's a clean-cut kid. His family comes from a pretty upstanding background. His dad owns a business. They seem relatively wealthy. Everything's great for Jordan Spieth. Patrick Reed is not that way, and that makes him different, and that makes him controversial, I suppose, but that doesn't take away from his talent or what he accomplished on Sunday. And I tweeted something that kind of along the lines of what you're saying, Alec, is that you saw a lot of people rooting against Patrick Reed, and I heard from folks who were on the ground yesterday too, hearing the same thing when they were standing around patrons, hearing anybody but Reed, lots more cheers for Spieth and Rory and Fowler than for Reed, which was kind of more polite applause than anything else. And I tweeted, that nothing exemplifies that Patrick Reed is considered America's jerk for our teams when he's on them, and then when he's not representing the United States, well, he can screw off. And I found that very strange. It was a weird dynamic because of those team matches. Everyone loves Patrick Reed because he's playing with Jordan Spieth and he plays great. He's on our side. But when he's an individual, it seems like it's completely different. I haven't quite squared that circle yet.
Yeah.
Are we going to start judging people by their family? Like Ricky Fowler's a single parent. Tiger had his divorced. I mean, I don't quite understand. I'm slightly confused. So I didn't know you had to have a perfect family to be the favorite of the Masters champion. I only look at it for what he did, and when I look at the Masters personally, I'm thinking, could I do that? Could I do what he did yesterday? And I would say I haven't done that. I've done it on other events, but it just takes a lot of pressure. It takes a lot of balls to do what he did yesterday, and he did it. So
yeah, definitely.
My hat's off to him.
I mean, in case you didn't read the news story, there was stuff coming out today about the fact that Patrick Reed is estranged from his family, his parents. They don't get on well with his wife. As you say, Elk, who cares? He went out there and he got the job done. And that kind of stuff, if you're in the public eye for whatever reason, through sport or entertainment, whatever, yeah, people are going to drag up stuff from your past. But does it really need to happen the day after he's won the Masters? I'm like, give him his credit. This is his moment. He achieved something amazing yesterday that'll put him in...
It happened the hour after he won. Not even the hour after he won, they were on him.
I mean, he's going to be in the history books forever. He has that green jacket. And yeah, I just think that it's a little bit too soon. Anyway, as it's part and parcel, I guess, with being one of the best. Ryan, what did you think yesterday about this showdown that everyone kind of built between Patrick and Rory? I think on Saturday night, everyone was like, this is going to be epic. This is going to be reminiscent of the two of them playing and match playing the Ryder Cup. And it didn't really live up to that expectation.
No, it didn't. And I was one of those people who was fully prepared to buy in for that Sunday showdown, just knowing not only and seeing in person what they did, at least for the first 9 holes of their Sunday match at the Ryder Cup a couple of years ago. I mean, it was some of the best golf, if not the best golf I've ever seen in person, those first 9 holes. And I was kind of expecting a continuation of that of sorts, not thinking, all right, well, Rory McIlroy doesn't have the best record at closing this particular major. He hasn't done it yet. Or that Patrick Reed looked pretty invincible for the first 3 days. And you kind of get thought into your biases and what you know, and think, okay, well, Rory's going to do this. This is his time. This is his chance to complete the career Grand Slam, become that history-making figure. He can take down Patrick Reed. He can get revenge. I mean, it sounds like a great story. So you buy into it a little bit. And Rory's putter didn't show up. His driver didn't show up to Augusta National on Sunday, and I think pretty much we knew probably was going to happen when McIlroy missed a 4-foot eagle putt on the second hole. Yeah. I mean, that you could see the slump in his shoulders. You could see his body language change. And I think there was probably, if I had to imagine, a sense of relief from Patrick Reed. Okay, I bogeyed the first. I could have been way worse off with this eagle. I'm okay. I still have the lead. And from there, he just hung on. And even when Spieth came after him, he still managed to do that. And you have to credit what he was able to do the first 3 days and then change a little bit on Sunday to play a tournament management style. It wasn't the same level of aggression. He was aggressive what he needed to be or what he thought he could be. But he did what he had to do to keep the lead. And while we all kept thinking, all right, well, this is where Spieth's going to get him, or this is where Fowler's going to get him, or this is where maybe Rory comes alive and is going to get him, or Rahm for that matter, it never happened. I mean, he always had them stiff-armed, and I thought that was extremely impressive.
Can I make a geographical pinpoint on something that's just, I've said it once before, never on the air, but, and you probably both going to go, oh my God, what is he going to say? Ryan, is this strange, but the 17th hole at the Minnesota Club where they played the Ryder Cup, in this case, it was the 8th hole, Hazeltine, right?
Yep.
Okay, so here we go. Hazeltine, when Rory was playing Patrick Reed this year in the Ryder Cup, and of course, Rory made that incredible 40 or 50 footer, and he put his ear up, in the crowd and all that. And then Patrick Reed drained it on top of him right there on that green. Now hold that thought. 10 years before that, Y.E. Yang, that was the 17th hole in the U.S. Open or the PGA when Y.E. Yang kind of closed Tiger out right on the same piece of real estate. Is there some sorcery going on there, Ryan and Diane, about that green where two of the greatest players got a piece of their ass bit off right on that one piece of real estate? Is that safe to say?
You have a point. And really, I mean, in general, that day, the same thing happened in the Phil and Sergio match that day too. Actually, it is a remarkable hole in that regard in terms of its place in golf history.
Are we going with geographical pinpoint? Is that what we are right on this? It was one piece of turf in the planet where something that never looked back on until now was a sort of a turning point. My take on Rory was, and I'm the most hated person in the world because I said he was bored a year ago. I honestly think that kind of – he actually came out and said he was bored not too long after that. And probably to some extent it probably helped him for me to say that to him because it got him sort of back in action. I do think he's three-quarters of the way back. I just think he felt very confident Saturday evening. I honestly believe that he believed that he was just going to do something special, and he may have forgotten what he was doing Sunday. When I think of Jack and Tiger, the two greatest closers, and Spieth's almost in that topic, certainly will be, I think, before his career's over, they wouldn't have said that Saturday night. They wouldn't have said he's got all the pressure. I'm going for something else, and he's going for this, and I want to show him what I've got. I just can't imagine them saying that. They're just going to say, "Hey, I'm going to do my game plan. I'm going to see what the course gives me." Right? Would you both agree on that?
Yeah, because Rory came out and he said, "I'm going to go out and ruin the party for Reed and all of his supporters." Obviously, Reed went to Augusta State, which it was at the time, and he actually did say, "I'm going to go out there and I'm going to ruin their party," and he didn't.
Yeah, so I just think he maybe overcooked his goose too early, and I think he was confident with his putting. And I can tell you for firsthand that Sunday pressure is different than Saturday pressure, but nonetheless, there'll be a lesson learned from Rory. He's a great player, and you know what? He may not ever win the Grand Slam. It's going to be tough to come back there and do it again because it's quite a long way. Even though he's very young and he's had so much success, time will only tell.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about Jordan Spieth, who went out yesterday and shot an incredible 64 to finish in third place, only 2 shots back. Elk, did you see that coming from Jordan?
Never know with him. He's so. I think I wrote somewhere that he's like Jack Nicklaus reincarnated, right? He just doesn't quite have the physique that Jack was, but identical thinker, plays strategy very well, rarely makes a mistake. When he does, he's able to scramble. Jordan Spieth's, as I said, he's Jack Nicklaus from the 70s.
Ryan, what do you think, especially about Jordan, but also about Ricky Fowler too?
I thought it was really remarkable. Spieth said he wasn't going to look at the leaderboard all day. He was just going to play golf and see where it left him on the 18th hole. And I had not heard him say that before. But he had to have some sense that he was getting close. I mean, he kind of alluded to that birdie on 12, which I thought was a remarkable moment. And it's going to be something people think about for a long time, especially if Spieth continues to maybe one day win another Masters. That'll be an important moment, I think. But the shot on 13, I thought was just a spectacular window into Spieth, the player, his relationship with Michael Greller, his caddy, where they walked through what they needed to do, what he needed to do, what his intent was to do on that second shot, and then to have executed it was just mind-boggling. And I said this earlier to someone else today, he has the ability of Tiger to run down anybody or to just run away from everybody. He can do those things. But with Tiger, it always kind of was billed as...
It looked better.
He's just better. Yeah. It looked better. It looked like because he was born to do this. And when Spieth does it, we all go, it's magic. How does this happen? And it just seems like it's
more methodical. It's more mundane looking, but it happens nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he doesn't stuff it to 5 feet. He stuffs it to 12 feet and he buries the putt. He doesn't stuff it to make the eagle. He stuffs it and, all right, 2-putt birdie. But it adds up in the end, and all of a sudden you go, man, this guy's really good. But like Alex said, it doesn't look remarkable, but it is remarkable. The result is.
When I think of, and Ryan reminded me, when I think of why and how Patrick Reed won this event, and I can't think of another Masters that was won on 12 and 14. And I think Patrick Reed won on those 2 holes. I think he birdied 12, which is very rare on Sunday for the guy with the lead. And then, of course, 14 is a tricky hole, and he made birdie there. And he didn't make another birdie. Is that right? He did not birdie 13
He parred
15.
13 because he didn't birdie 15, did he? And then 17 was the escape to get lucky.
He birdied 12 and 14 was very rare. And probably two of the, well, certainly number 12 is, I don't know how many people who have won the Masters have birdied 12 and 14, but at any rate, that didn't birdie 13 and 15. Any rate, thinking about Ricky Fowler, a few years ago he was in the top 5 in all 4 of the majors, and I was told very sternly that when I said that he didn't really have a chance to win any of those, I was correct, but he was there. I've been second, third in majors that I didn't really have a look-see at it. But he did yesterday, and he birdied the last hole to put an enormous amount of pressure on Reed. And I think Ricky said in his post-interview that he's made another step forward. And that's the way it is for guys that are, working their way up the ladder. They have to get their feet burnt pretty badly, either lose one or get right to it before they know the threshold of where, of what's inside of them.
Yeah. Well, Ricky yesterday, 5 under, 4 birdies on the back 9, birdieing 18 as well. And he actually said, we all know that Ricky's good friends with Jordan Spieth. And he said afterwards, I was just happy that I got that birdie on 18 and I beat Jordan and got solo second. So, there's still that level of competition between them. But I tell you what, Ricky Fowler was waiting there for Patrick Reed to come off 18 to congratulate him straight away on that win.
Well, yeah. I mean, as Brian said in the opening, they're teammates in the Ryder Cup. I just don't, I think Bubba Watson was there too. These guys see one another every week. I just don't see what everyone sees about Patrick Reed personally. I've only met Patrick a handful of times, and he's very, very pleasant to me. And we've talked and hit balls together at Blue Jack. And I just think you have to take your hat off. Let's just talk about the competition, shall we?
Yeah, and he did say, the thing, I read that article that's doing the rounds today, and the guy that wrote the article spoke to a number of players and said, tell us about Patrick. And they had said, he doesn't really have many friends, I guess. He keeps himself to himself. He likes to just play his practice rounds alone and get them out of the way. But, Elk, you're not on tour to make friends. No,
once you get off, you'll see these guys. I took my friend Frank Bukowski, played in the NBA for 16 years, to the Masters this year, 6'10", played for Seattle Supersonics, was in the finals, I think, in '96 against the Bulls. And Makembe Mutombo was at the Masters this year, and Frank, so we got 2 almost 7-foot guys there that they hugged and had a great meeting. And I said, what's the deal with Mutombo? And he said, I used to hate that guy, and he used to hate me. And I hated him. And I said, well, why are you hugging on him then? He says, because now, here we are 15 years later, we both have appreciation level for just the competition, and there we were. So, hey, if you're happy with your life and you've got your wife and your family and you're doing your deal, what do you need all the other stuff for?
Yep.
I'm interested in what you think of that, Ryan.
I'm uncomfortable with the idea of judging Patrick Reed with a totally incomplete set of information. I don't think you necessarily even have to judge the guy. I'm intrigued by the guy. I want to know his backstory. I want to know what he went through, because I want to know what people who have achieved greatness in their chosen field did to get there. What did they have to overcome? What did they do? And I think people want to know those things. But as I was saying to a bunch of people on Twitter today, there's a reason why he is estranged from his parents. There's a reason why he doesn't invite them to major tournaments. There's a reason for all of these things. And Patrick and Justine are totally justified in not sharing those reasons with the public.
Yeah.
They don't have to. That's not their job. That's their right to privacy. They're allowed to do that. And they shouldn't be condemned for that. And we have this way of envisioning our sports athletes as perfect people who came from great backgrounds, and everything worked out in their favor. And so often, almost as the rule of thumb, that's not the case. It doesn't work out perfectly at the start. And that's why these people are special, because they overcame something. They overcame a bad beginning or a bad relationship or lots of bad things to become the best of what they are. And Patrick Reed seems happy.
Yeah.
He won a major. He's got a kid. He's a happily married guy.
He's got 2 kids.
What's wrong with that?
And who knows if it all can't be repaired in some shape or form as they go forward. And what's wrong with that either?
Right. I mean, someday he may have a rekindling of his relationship with his parents. That may happen. You never know. These things take time. I mean, I think about things that happened in my family where my great-grandfather died 24 years ago. My family was mad about it with each other for 14 or 15 years. Yeah. And then now that we all get together and hang out for Christmas and do family things together, time has a way of changing things. So we can't just look through it that one moment in time.
Exactly. Yep. And, you know, for these professional athletes to be doing what they do week in, week out, and to be as good as they are, their life is different. They live a bit of a strange life. It's not a traditional life. So I guess there's always going to be sacrifices in some way or another. But as you say, it's their life and they can respect their own privacy and do whatever they want with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't want my life to be judged based on an incomplete set of information about me. So why should I want to judge someone when I barely know anything about them? Exactly. I just think that's kind of the important thing to keep in mind.
Yep, good way to put it. Okay, I want to talk about something else. And Elk and I spoke about this. So, Ryan, I'm going to start with you. And obviously, it is Sergio Garcia. So Sergio, I mean, it was never going to be his Masters after day one, where he scored a 13 on the 15th hole. I'm going to talk to Elk about this in a few minutes, but Ryan, what do you make of it all?
Well, I mean, Sergio kept his wits about him. He was funny about it. I mean, he said, you know, I've made history both ways now at the Masters. So, I mean, at least he kept his wits about him. I mean, I guess at a certain point after three go in the water, you kind of realize what's the fourth or fifth. Yeah. You might as well finish it off at that point. I find that whole location on 15 troubling as a course setup perspective, because a number of times in Masters history, you've had situations kind of like this at 15 where either guys put a bunch of balls in the water or they literally putt off the green into the pond. That's a tough hole location, really tough. Billy Horschel a few years ago putted from basically pin high into the water from there. So it happens. I mean, you can't, it just happens. I mean, weird things happen in golf. Weird things happen in major championships. Doesn't diminish what Sergio accomplished last year for sure.
Exactly.
Just kind of a weird situation. And as far as I'm concerned, Sergio handled it about as well as you could, because he just kind of smiled about it and said, you know what, I still get the green jacket on, and nope, very few other people do.
I think certainly it would have been a different cup of tea, if you will, if he hadn't won last year. However, I was in the press room and I had three green jackets around me, and they were talking about Sergio's shot. And everybody that has, everyone that's a member says if you put one in the drink at 15, you don't put five. You hit the next one up past the hole into the back fringe, change clubs, do whatever, hit it in the bunker, hit it in the hot dog stand, but you don't put five in or whatever he did. So I don't know what he was trying to prove to himself or something, but there was certainly a short circuit, because he said in the press after that, I never made a 13 when I hit every shot perfect. Well, he didn't hit every shot perfect, so that's just, that's a bit of a cover-up there. However, it's just very strange set of circumstances there. I did see Bubba Watson putted into the bunker at 2 yesterday on Ryan's point. Yeah. He putted right into the sand, so the golf course setup at 15, Ryan, is fine because it's such an easy par 5. The pin that you're noting there, the front right pin, is very, very difficult. One of the things that I didn't see much of, I saw Mark Leishman come through there with the lead and chipped it into the water from behind the green. What I was surprised they didn't use, what we used to, was hit it in the right bunker. You don't want to go long at 15 with the pin in the front. But at any rate, these guys are young. They play the course the way they want to, and they deserve to. I was telling someone the other day, I never had the ability to be able to hit the big high ball in there and keep it on the green. I was always coming in lower because I was further back, so I was always going to go over. So I would always play into the right bunker. Anyway, it was a bad mistake by Sergio, and I'm glad the way he handled it. And he's a great champion. He did a great honor yesterday, and he handled it very well when he presented the jacket to Patrick Reed. Yeah,
especially because after missing the cut on Friday, he had to hang around and go through the jacket ceremony yesterday. So good on him. One more thing to talk about, and I guess before the Masters even started, one of the hot favourites to win was Tiger Woods. He just made the cut, and he said that his goal was to finish level. He finished 1 over yesterday, almost did it on 18. Elk, what did you make of the hype surrounding Tiger in the build-up to the Masters and then what we saw during the tournament?
I think I had him picked to win the Masters this week, or last week, Tiger, that is. Very rarely when he starts to peak that he goes off the boil. He finished second and fifth at Bay Hill. I had him set to see the high fade coming back out at Augusta, but he looks like he's got rid of the right shot with the tee ball, but now he's got more of a pull or a long draw into the trouble left quite a bit this week. I was surprised. I was a little bit deflated that I thought he'd do better, to be honest.
I thought so too. I thought he had a real chance to win, and I would have understood anyone saying they would have picked him to win. I mean, he just played such great, controlled golf at Bay Hill, Honda. He played the style of golf that won him a lot of golf tournaments, and he did not bring that style of golf to Augusta, it didn't seem like. And I think he was one of the worst in the field in terms of driving accuracy. So, I mean, he's never been a great driver of the golf ball, but even for him, that was substandard. And he just kind of didn't seem to have it. I mean, and maybe on Sunday he was just on a salvage mission to try to recoup some kind of momentum to move forward. But maybe he was also tired. I mean, he played a fairly good amount of golf in March, and took a couple weeks off to get ready for the Masters.
I can't give you tired because he's the fittest guy out there. He doesn't have any. He's been off for 2 weeks. The guys that played Houston the week before are more tired. I'd be interested, Ryan. Yeah. They talk about Augusta where you don't have to hit it that straight and all that. I'd be interested for you to post maybe at your Twitter this afternoon what the statistics were for Reed. I'd be very surprised if he didn't lead fairways, greens, putting, and chipping, and almost takes the complete game to win at Augusta, and he won by one stroke. It'd be interesting to see that. Will you track that down for us, maybe?
Sure. I mean, he was dominating on greens and regulation. I think he hit somewhere in the area of 70 to 71% of the greens in regulation at the end. I mean, that's the number. I mean, you got to get to 70%.
Yeah, I think my point is that he did all the greatness, right? He drove it straight. He hit his irons great, better than anyone, putted great, and then still only won by one, right?
Yeah, it took everything he had to hold off the best players in the world, and that's what makes Augusta special. It identifies the best players and bunches them up and then lets them figure it out not only through what they can do physically, but what they've got mentally, and that's why the Masters delivers every year.
Exactly. And also, Tiger shot his best round of the week yesterday, 69. So yeah,
he'll be up there deciding which one of his four green jackets he'll put on to come down and have his dinner last night. Yeah.
One person that we do have to talk about is Mark Leishman, signed to Secret Golf, and it really was a great tournament for Leishman. He ended up finishing 9th yesterday, shooting a 70, but finishing in the top 10. He's going to be back at the Masters next year. Elk, we're super proud of Mark and everything that he achieved this week.
Yeah, he was paired with Tiger the first 2 days and had beat him by 14 strokes over 2 days. So that's a lot. And so Leishman is kind of where he wants to be. He's kind of maybe where Ricky Fowler is to a certain degree. I mean, he's I think he was in a playoff at the British Open that Zach Johnson won. He's been right at the top. I mean, it's hard to beat Tiger Woods by 14 strokes in 2 days when you're playing with all those kind of people. With all the gallery and so on. So they talk about that Tiger Woods effect and so on. But, Leishman, he's a good putter. And I watched him very closely on Saturday, and it looked like it wasn't aggressive as, say, a Patrick Reed was. They had what I call holing speed. When you see a guy making a lot of putts at Augusta, you see with Phil, Tiger, Reed this week. Ryan, I'm interested in what your perspective. It seems like the ball's going in the hole pretty good, speed-wise.
Yeah, they're not dying in the hole. They're running in the hole. I mean, not speeding past the hole, but they're going in like they would go 5 to 7 feet by if they miss the hole. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that. I can't speak to playing at Augusta National, but I mean, when you're putting with confidence, that's what you're doing. You're not dying the ball in the hole. You know it's going to go in, so you can hit it with a little extra cushion. And Leishman's going to have his day. I mean, he's going to win a major championship. He was there in 2013 when he played alongside Scotty when he won, and that final day, and he said he learned a lot that day. The 15 Open Championship with Louis and Zach Johnson coming through, and then he's gonna get there. I mean, 17 was such an important year for him. He played so well last year. I mean, he's built, like you said, Elk. He's building the blocks to get there. He can do it, and he will do it.
I played with Mark Leishman maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and 2 rounds. I've told this story to a lot of people, but I'll repeat it, that I played with him in San Antonio, kind of a nondescript event, and Leishman played well. I think I missed the cut, and we were leaving, and Leash and I were sitting down having a beer in the locker room, and I said, in 5 years from now, mate, you're going to be in the top 5 players in the world, or I think I said top 10. And I never saw him again for years after that. And then when I signed him to Secret Golf, I said, mate, do you remember what I told you 5 years ago? He says, do I remember? I wrote it on my wall. He said, in my office, he said, Steve Elkington said I'm going to be a top 10 player. And I said, you're there. So it was a nice, I just see, mate, I'm never very wrong when I see talent. I mean, there's something I'm good at.
Exactly. Which is why you created Secret Golf. That's what we're all about.
That's correct.
Ryan, what would you say was the highlight of the week for you then, looking back?
I mean, Sunday. I mean, to watch Jordan Spieth go on that run was really pretty incredible. I mean, I thought the coolest part of it was on 12 just to stick it to CBS a little bit. Obviously he doesn't know what they're running, but they run the package of him hitting a couple in the drink in 12, at 16, and then does it again in 17. Like, here he is on 12 again, and he hits it over, and his just genuine reaction of being happy to have gotten through it, and then to make the birdie putt even better. And then all of a sudden, all right, I think that's when he thought he might be able to win this.
Yeah, for sure.
And he might not let on to that, but you could tell when he made the putt, he thought, okay, something special is happening here. Maybe I do have a chance.
Yeah, and the look in his eyes said it all. And
that, other than that, I mean, what Patrick Reed did on the par fives this week was unbelievable. He was 13 under through the first 12 times he played a par five this week. That just doesn't happen very often, the Masters. And he had a chance to play the par fives perfectly throughout the entire week. The record, I think, is 15 under on the par fives for a single Masters, and none of those guys had ever won. So someone with that kind of level of par five dominance finally got the job done. And like Alex said, it was only good enough for a one-stroke win. That tells you how good Patrick Reed had to be to get it done.
Yeah, for sure. Elk, what about you? Can you pick out a highlight from the week?
My highlight for the week, of course, I think the best player last week won in Patrick Reed, but the highlight for me was seeing GT, Jack Nicklaus's grandson, making an ace on the last hole of the par 3 event. I was watching my idol play with Tom Watson, and how good was this? Tom Watson, Gary Player, and Jack Nicklaus playing. We're so excited, and all of a sudden, Tom Watson's going to win this par 3 event. Jack's in contention. Okay, it's miniature golf, but whatever. And I saw Jack the next day, and Diane, you were with me, and I said to Jack, I said, GT, I figured 700,000 to 1 to get a hole-in-one, and I said, let's throw in another 700,000 8 more times because he was caddying, and he only made one swing of the day. So I told Jack, I said, I got you at $6 million to 1 that GT. Jack was standing right there. I said, what do you think about $6 million to 1 for that shot, Jack? And Jack looked at me and goes, $6 million to 1, huh? That's pretty good, GT. And he kind of nudged him, and he said, Jack told a story. He said, last Sunday I asked GT, I said, do you want to hit a shot in the par 3, being to carry the bag and everything? And Jack's GT said, I think I do. I'd like to. All my other cousins hit it. And Jack said, well, if you do, you'll probably make an ace. So Jack winked at me and said, I probably called it. So I just thought that was just beyond, beyond sorcery, right,
yeah,
Ryan?
It really was.
Seeing that happen, it only happens there, right?
Sometimes I don't even watch much of the par 3 contest, just kind of watch it in the background. And this year they put that part of the par 3 contest online for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to watch that while I'm here writing some things, and I'm so glad I did, because watching GT's hole-in-one and Tom Watson played so well and Jack played so well, just to watch those guys go around the par 3 contest and have that moment, there's nothing like watching that live. I mean, that's why sports are the best.
Yeah, we were actually recording a radio show at the time, and Elk just had to turn around and watch the TV, and he kept turning back and he was like, do you see what is happening here? But Elk, we have to recount a story that we told on a video that we put on our Secret Golf social media, and it was when you went up to see GT the day after on the Thursday, and he was standing with your idol, Jack Nicklaus, and you left him hanging.
Well, yeah, I went up to Jack and GT, who was standing there, and they just walked out of the cottage, and Jack waved me over, and I went straight over, and as I got close, I put my hand out, and Jack put his hand out, but I was already committed to GT, And halfway through my last step to go for GT's hand, I left Jack hanging, and I'm like, it was horror. It wasn't. It was mid stride horror. Anyway, I hit GT real quick, and then I moved. It was the quickest one handshake to another in the history of the earth. And Jack looked at me and said, "Oh no!" And he said, "You made the right decision going to GT first," because he could see the horror in my face. Like I left just the greatest of all time hanging.
We said that to you afterwards. We said, "Were you in turmoil there?" And you said, "That wasn't turmoil. That was pure horror."
Pure horror. It was horrifying.
Oh, it was great. Excellent, guys. Thank you so much. Elk, we had a great week. It was so good to be in Augusta for the Masters. And Ryan, you watched every minute on TV. So thank you very much for giving us your thoughts on it today.
Thanks for having me on again. Always fun to talk to you.
Thanks for having us.
So, Ryan, what tournament are you going to be at next? Do you have any big plans?
Good question. I know I'll probably go to the U.S. Open for a few days. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'm going to go the whole week. And then I guess that's the next thing I'm going to go to. Then I'm going to try to go to the Women's Senior Open. You know, the first time they're having that this year. That's in July. And then, I think just before that is Tiger's thing around here. So, pretty much nothing in May, but then a couple in June, a couple in July.
Excellent. Well,
and you'll obviously be hometown for the Players, right? And
I will, but it doesn't stop for me because I'm heading up to Hilton Head this week for the RBC Heritage. So it's home for a few days and then straight back into the golf world.
Hilton Head's so fun, though. I love Harbour Town. That's such a good course.
I love it. Care to make an early prediction for Hilton Head this week?
I haven't even started looking at it yet. I was thinking about your brother, actually. And then maybe Furyk.
Yeah, for sure. Russell loves Hilton Head. It's one of his favourite courses, and he's always said that he sees a win coming on that course. So after the disappointment of not being at the Masters last week, maybe Russell's got something to prove. He's going to come out and beat them all.
Maybe. Then he knows he's in. Yeah. Then he doesn't have to worry for the rest of the next year.
Get it sorted now. Ryan Ballingy from Golf News Net, thank you so much. Always great to have you on the podcast.
Thanks, Diane.